Shalom, Yasha Allah, Shalom. We're dealing with the second day Aliyah of Parashah, Vayechi, or YAIQAB'S, Genesis chapter 49, verse 10, through Genesis chapter 49, verse 16, dealing with the death of our father, YAIQAB, Jacob, or Yaakov. Some people say Yaqub. He's our father, and we're dealing with the scriptures that talk about his death. Remember, the next new moon is going to be on January 5th to January 6th, which is going to be a so-called Saturday, all right, on your Gregorian calendars. But of course, on the Hebrew calendar, it's going to be the first day of the month, okay? It's going to be the first day. It'd be nice to abandon using the Gregorian calendar at all, but we have to have something to correlate and correspond it to, because the rest of the world is still plugged into the Gregorian calendar. So the next beginning of our new month, which is a holy day of worship, is going to be January 5th to January 6th. That whole 24-hour period from sunset to sunset is going to be a holy day of worship. Now, Passover we have coming up is going to be on April 18th to April 19th, from night to night, the 18th at night to the 19th at night. That's the first day. The last day of Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, is going to be on April 24th at night until April 25th at night. Not Easter. Easter is not a righteous biblical holiday. Easter is a pagan holiday that was used to worship other gods and actually used to worship Satan. Anything in between is Satan. Anything to the away from the Most High Yahweh is worshiping Satan. All right. So now we got that out the way. Now, as I'm coming to you as always, teaching the Torah as an individual, as a man who worships the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whose name is Yahweh, and also representing the government of our people, which is the Masharah Yasha Allah, as an elder, okay, and also representing Banya Yasha Allah as an elder, a judge of our people when we find ourselves in different situations where we need some help and guidance. So let me give a quick overview of what we represent as a government of Israel, Masharah Yasha Allah. 12 articles of belief. Now, what I'm about to read to you is edited and abridged for time's sake from the articles of belief of the Council of Elders of the Government of Israel, Masharah Yasha Allah, which was entered and approved the 22nd day of May, the so-called month May, in the year 2016, according to our common reckoning. First of all, we believe in Yahweh, which is the power of all creation. Yahweh is the most high power. He is the creator. His name is Yod He Vav He, or Yad Ha Wawa Ha. All right, these are letters right here. This one, this one, this one, and this one spell out the name of our creator, Yahweh. Yahweh has a son that is the Messiah and the Savior. His son's name is Yahawashah HaMashiach. Some people may say Isa. Some people may say Yeshua. Some people may say Yehoshua. All right. Yahawashah, he is the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes unto Yahweh except they go through Yahawashah. Third, the Holy Spirit, Rakah HaKodash, which teaches us and reproves us of sin. The fourth article of belief is the word of Yahweh. We believe in the word of Yahweh, which is composed of the Torah, the Tanakh, the so-called New Testament, which we have comparative counterparts, which is the Septuagint, or you can use the Masoretic text or the Samaritan text with the original Hebrew writings inside of them. The Targums are not the word of Yahweh. The Targums were read in concert with the Torah throughout the diaspora in Aramaic to give the people an understanding according to certain rabbis' commentaries about particular parts of the Torah. And it was not part of the text. It was part of the scriptures that got put together, and it was explaining the scriptures. All right, explaining the scriptures, but in a verse type of format. Okay. But now, so now from the Torah, let me explain to you from the Torah, which is the 5th article of belief, the 5 books of Moses. All right, the articles of belief, 5th article deals with the Torah, which means the instructions, the word of Yahweh. We must instruct the law of Yahweh, which is the Torah, or Tawarat, or Tawadah. We must learn the Torah in our language of nativity, our local language. And we also need to study and teach it in Hebrew, in Ibadia, because us CD, Shidi, Latino, Native American, or Black people, so-called of the African diaspora in captivity, we are the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, the 7th article, the 6th article of belief deals with the convocations, all right? The convocation are holy days, which are Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Weeks, first fruits, memorial of the blowing of trumpets. The 4th is the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. The 5th is the Feast of Booths, Ingathering, Sukkot. And the 6th is the new moon, which is the inferior conjunction of the black moon. The 7th is the Shabbat, the 6th day at night until the 7th day at night. From so-called Friday night to so-called Saturday night is the Sabbath, according to day, evening, and morning, as we see in Genesis, not according to the moon and not according to light. All right, now we have ordained days also. The ordained days would be the day of Simon, Hanukkah, the day of Judah, as well as Purim. Now, the day of Judah is also called the day of Nicanor, okay? Now, grace. We are under grace and not under the law, which means that we don't get punished immediately for some capital offenses that we may do. But grace is not an excuse to break the law. Grace gives us time and postpones the judgment so that we can repent and turn from sin. Okay, now wisdom. Wisdom is the breath of Yahweh and the brightness of the everlasting light. Okay, wisdom is the unspotted mirror of the power of Yahweh. When you find wisdom, you find life. Okay, and you can obtain favor from Yahweh through wisdom. Wisdom should be taught every man to present every man perfect in Hamashiach Yahushua. Now, the 9th article of belief is family. Big confusion about family. I'll make this brief. A man may have one wife or more than one wife. All right. If a woman and a man make a promise to be together for life, according to the laws of the Torah, that is a valid marriage. Other laws that you may have entered into may have different understandings and different rules for marriage and divorce. So those marriages may need to be reevaluated, all right, reevaluated, and then maybe reevaluated to see whether or not they were valid according to the biblical laws. Okay. Now, divorce, a man may only divorce his wife and remarry if he divorces the wife for sexual fornication. Okay. Now, a woman, if she's divorced or she divorces her man for whatever reason, she may not remarry if she had a valid biblical marriage. Why do I say valid biblical marriages? Because some religions, under the laws that people try to follow, allow you to divorce and remarry. So your understanding of marriage is different. Your understanding of that relationship, which should have been for life, was not for life, and it was different. It was a different set of rules that you were living under. So when we come into Yahweh and into the Torah, all right, we must evaluate, and if they were not done permanently and brought together by the laws of Yahweh and Yahushua, they need to be reconsidered and or reconstituted. Marriages and betrothals that were agreed as permanent when they got established remain as such. What Yahweh has joined together, let no man put asunder. The man has the rights and the duties, all right, the rights and the duties to manage all of the all of the assets, all right, all of the needs of his family, according to the laws of Yahweh. Now, the 10th article of belief, and I'm almost done, got 2 left after this. We're dealing with the government of Israel. Judges, officers, elders, rulers, heads must be Torah compliant. If you are not Torah compliant, then you are not qualified to lead our people anywhere except for the lake of fire. And we do not want our people being led to the lake of fire. Unity. The house of Judah and the house of Israel will be united as one. Now, who are these people? All right. We will be united as one under the Torah and under Hamashiach Yahushai. Who are these people? The people that you call Negroes, Latinos, Amerindians, who came to the Americas first and who came to the America on slave ships are the Israelites. The ones you call Sidi, Shidi, Habshi, Zanj, Afro-Abkhazian, Afro-Turks, Sri Lankan Kafirs, Kunlun, and other people throughout the diaspora are the 12 tribes of Israel, and we will unite under the Torah and under Hamashiach Yahushai by the power of Yahweh. Now, the last article of belief is the Exodus. Exodus is the second book of the Torah. The Exodus will happen again. We, the children of the indigenous peoples, scattered, oppressed, and enslaved in the Americas, and the ones that arrived in the Americas in captivity, North, Central, South America, and the Caribbean, are the house of Israel, and we are the house of Judah, as are various transported and enslaved people of Africa, Asia, Europe, and the various islands. We shall be gathered together again as the 12 tribes of Israel, placed in the wilderness and put back into our homeland in the name of Yahushai Hamashiach, by the power of Yahweh, God Almighty, with eternal life. All right, so that's what we'll go over with that. Now, remember, when I'm operating and when we are teaching, we need to operate and teach under the premises of seven steps that the Messiah gives us, and the 7 articles, the seven pillars of wisdom. Under Yahushua, he gives us 7 steps for us to gain spiritual maturity, which is a child, death, being born again, being a branch that bears fruit, being a light, and being a master builder. Now, the 7 pillars of wisdom that we must teach and understand and analyze every doctrine through is, first of all, instruction and knowledge, then understanding, then discretion, all right, then equity, then justice, which is righteousness, and then judgment, which is the decision that we're going to execute and carry out, and then actually executing and carrying that out, that decision allows us to arrive at the 7th pillar, which is wisdom. All right. So now I hope you understand that. I hope it wasn't too fast. If it was, wait till the end of the broadcast and rewind it, and you'll get a better understanding. All right. So now we're dealing with our father. We're dealing with our father, Jacob. Okay. Our father, Jacob, who's also called YAIQAB. Okay. Who's also called Israel. He's about to die. And we're reading about it now. Now, this is the ancestor of all you Black people and indigenous peoples in North, Central, South America and the Caribbean, and all you people that came into India, into Pakistan, and you came into Turkey in slavery, in captivity. You are the 12 tribes of Israel. So Jacob is your biological father from your blood. All right. So the Shidi, the CD people are the Ibn Yaqub, are the Banya YAIQAB, are the sons of Jacob. So this is our father. He's about to die. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna read the verse. We're going to read it in an ancient archaic form of Hebrew before we had the written Nikud system. All right. We're going to go off of the natural letters right here. Some people may say, okay, there were vowel sounds, but I would say that there were vowel sounds inserted after years of developing the language. but I would say that the letters that Yahweh gave us from the beginning, these 22 letters, all right, have a vowel sound here and a vowel sound here, which is I or Iyan, and Aleph or Ayan. I'm sorry, Aleph or Alap, all right? A and I, or A and E, all right? So we're going to read from verse 10. I'm going to read through it in the Hebrew. We're going to come back and then discuss it and explain it in the English. Now, I might just go ahead and read it in the English, because if I'm reading the Hebrew and I'm already reading a minority form of the Hebrew, which is the Paleo pronunciation, which is not Masoretic pronunciation or using a modern Nikud system. So I'm already a minority, so I might just read it in English. I might not even read the whole every 7th verse in Hebrew, but I'll start the first one off like that. It says, Wa iyanya yashra'ala kabadwa ma zakwan la'a yawakal la ra'awath wa yagash adam Aliyah wa yashak laham wa YAIQAB'S laham. So this tells us that Yahweh put the spirit on Jacob, our father, and his eyes were heavy. So he couldn't see good with his eyes anymore. All right. So he couldn't see good with his eyes anymore. And he couldn't see the grandsons or Joseph really good. So so Joseph, what he did, he brought his sons close to his grandfather. All right. He brought his, I'm sorry. The sons were brought close to the father. All right. And when he brought the grandsons close to him, he kissed them. All right. He kissed them, and he kissed them, and he kissed them, and he gave him a hug. All right. So he kissed his grandsons, and he gave his grandsons a hug. All right. And then once again, we're reading about, the death of one of our main patriarchs. All right. Which is Jacob. All right. So he kissed his grandsons, and when he kissed his grandsons, he hugged them also. So he gave the children, a hug, and he gave them a kiss. So that's a beautiful affection that the grandfather showed to his grandchildren, but he's doing this for a purpose. And he has a special mission that the Most High has put in his head that he has to fulfill. And we're going to go to verse 11 to start to move into what is this mission that Jacob is going to complete before his death. Okay, now we're going to go to verse 10. Waya amar yasha Allah al yawasap ra'ah panyaka la'a palaltaya wahana hara'ah atya alahayam gam ath zaraika or zarika. So he says, Yasha Allah unto Yawasap, to see your face, I never prayed. So he says he never even prayed to see Joseph again because he was sure that Joseph was dead. All right. And he says, behold, Hannah, now the powers, the Alahayim, have allowed me to see, all right, has allowed me to see you, has allowed me to see you and your zari, your seed. So he's saying that I got a blessing that I didn't even pray for. I didn't pray to see you again. But Yahweh and the Alahayim, the powers, they allowed me the blessing and the grace to see you and your grandchildren and my grandchildren, you and your seeds, you and your sons is what the Most High allowed YAIQAB to do. So he's very humble and he's very happy with the Father for allowing him to see not only Joseph, because remember, he thought Joseph was dead. But now Joseph is alive, and now he sees Joseph, but he also sees the grandchildren that Joseph gave him. Okay. So now we're going to move into verse 12. All right. So now it says, Waya Yawasap Atham Ma'aim Barak Yawa Waya Shatakwa La Panyawa Aratzah. So what happened now is that he got on Joseph, all right. Joseph brought the children out. Joseph brought his children out and took them and gave them over to his father. And when he did that, Joseph bowed down to his father with his face to the earth. All right, he bowed down. So there's nothing wrong with Joseph bowing to his father as a sign of respect. He's not giving his father a spiritual reverence for creating the world or for performing miracles or for creation. He's giving homage. He's bowing down to his father as a form of respect. All right, as a form of respect. And this is the when we go back, remember that, you know, this is just a form of respect that we paid unto our fathers and our elders and our mothers also a lot of times. Remember, Jacob himself also bowed down before Esau. When he humbled himself before Esau, 7 times he bowed down. 7 times he bowed down. So that 7 represents that completion. From that point on, we never had bowed down willfully before Esau again. All right, we never bowed down before Esau willingly. Of course, Esau being represented today by the so-called Europeans, by the so-called white man that has conquered the world and taught everybody their language, taught everybody their culture, taught everybody to put on a shirt and put on pants and dress like me and look like me. But we never bowed down. But here Jacob has humbled himself. YAIQAB has, Joseph, Yawasap, has humbled himself now. He's humbled himself to his father and put his face to the ground as a form of submitting himself to the will of his father, to respectfully show his father that he loves him, and whatever you want me to do now, that I will do. Whatever you want to do, I will respect it. Now let's go to verse 13. So it says, Wayakwak Yawasap Ath Shantam Ath Aparyam Ba Yam Yanwa Ma Shama'al Yashud Allah Wa Ath Manasha Ba Shama'al Wa Mayam Yan Yashud Allah Wa Yagash Al Yawab. All right, so now what happened is Joseph took both of them. Okay, so now picture this. Ephraim, put your hands out now. I want you to do this with me. Put your hands out. I want you to take your right hand. So the scripture says, Apariyam Ba Yam Yanwa. So Ephraim is in the right hand of Joseph. Okay, that's what the scripture says. Now Manashah is in the Mashama'al, is in the left hand. All right, so Ephraim is in the right hand, and Manasseh is in the left hand. So now he's facing his father, so he's facing the opposite hand. So he takes Ephraim, which is in his right hand, and puts him in Jacob's left hand. Why? Because Ephraim is the baby. Ephraim is the youngest. And then he takes Manasseh, which is in Joseph's left hand, and he gives him directly in front of Jacob, which is going to be now at Jacob's right hand. So now Jacob has Ephraim in the left hand, And then Jacob has Manasseh in the right hand. The right hand represents the primary blessing because Manasseh is the oldest and Ephraim is the baby boy. So Jacob says, Joseph says, I'm going to give you Manasseh in your right hand, all right, because he's the oldest. He's the oldest, and I want you to make him inherit the blessing before his brother, all right? And then he brought him close to us. He brought the children close to him. Now look what happens in verse 14. It says, Wa yashalach yashal Allah, which means now and took yashal Allah ath yamyan wa. So now Jacob, he takes his yamyan, he takes his right hands, wayashal ayel ra'ash apardium. So he does this crossover now. See, that's why, you know, he does a crossover. He takes the right hand and crosses it over because Ephraim is on his left hand, okay? So he now takes Ephraim and he puts his hand over to the other side, which is under his right hand now. Because remember, Manasseh was under, when Manasseh was given to him in his right hand, and Ephraim was given to him in his left hand. All right. So now Ephraim was given toward the left part of his body. So what Joseph does, so Ephraim is right here. So what YAIQAB does is he takes this hand, which is the right hand, and puts it on top of Ephraim. Now let's see what he does after that. All right. It says wa kawa. It says wa kawa hatazayar. He was to his left hand, Al Ra'ash Manasha. You see that? So now he took the left hand and crossed it over. So now he got, okay. So now here's Ephraim. Okay, here's Ephraim and here's Manasseh. And here's the right hand. So YAIQAB says, no, Ephraim is going to be under my right hand and Manasseh is going to be under my left hand. So he takes the older and makes the older what? Like the youngest. And takes the youngest and makes the youngest what? Like the older. The same thing we see with Jacob and Esau. The same thing we see with Ishmael and Isaac. You see, it's the same pattern that we see. All right. Now let's continue on. Then he says, cross it over. And then he says, okay, let's go back to verse 13. So then he says, we're in verse 13 and 14. All right, we're in verse, so yeah, what's up? So verse 14, it says, Wa yashalak yashal Allah ath yam yanwa wa yashat al ra'ash apariam wa hawa'a hatazayar wa ath masha'alwa al ra'ash manasha. Then he says shakal. Okay, he says shakal ath yad yawa. All right, so deliberately, all right, deliberately considering and knowing what he's doing. So he was conscious of what he's doing. It says shakal ath yad yawa kaya manasha ha bakwar. Bakwar is bakar, root word, which means the firstborn. So Manasseh was the firstborn, but he didn't put Manasseh under the right hand. He wanted Manasseh under his left hand when he started to give out these blessings. Okay. So of course it says wa yabarak ath yawasap wa ya'amar alahayim wa ya'amar. All right. Wa ya'amar ha'alahayim ashera Hata halakwa abathya la panyawa abaraham wa yatzakak wa alahayim ha with an I shepherded, okay, athya ma aiwadwa aid hayawam hazah. So he says, and he blessed Joseph, and he said, the power of Alahayim, who walked with my fathers, all right, who walked before my fathers, all right, before Abraham, before Isaac, and the power who fed me, who was a shepherd unto me, who led me all the days of my life until this very day. All right. And then he says, what? And he says, ha. So he's basically saying, he's basically blessing Joseph now. So he's putting a blessing on Joseph now. And the blessing that he's putting on Joseph starts out with, may the Most High power that walked before my father. So as he's talking to Joseph, Yahweh, he's constantly giving reference to our fathers. So he blessed Joseph and said that, like, the powers who walked before Abraham and Isaac, all right, the one who has been my shepherd, who's been feeding me and guiding me all the days of my life. And then he continued and said, Hamala'ak ha-ga'al athya makal rai yabarak ath ha na'iriyam wa yakwara'a baham shamya wa sham abathaya abaraham wa yatzakak wa Yedagwa larab multiplies many. Okay. Bakwarab haratza. So he says, may they grow. He says, he also says the Alahayim, the powers of the messenger who redeemed me from all evil. All right. May he bless these boys. May he bless the children, these boys, these Na'ir, these boys. Okay. And may the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, be named on them also. All right, which means may the blessing, may that vibration, may that strong spirit of protection from Yahweh be on Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay, and let them grow. Let them grow into a multitude. Let them grow into a multitude, multiplied, okay, in the midst of the earth. All right. May they grow into a large number of people into the midst of the earth. All right. So, but there's a problem that Joseph is going to have with this. The problem Joseph is going to have is a problem that he's going to address to his father, in the very next verse, something that he was very displeased with that his father did, because he didn't understand why his father was switching up the birth, All right. Now, could Jacob be switching up the blessings between Ephraim and Manasseh as a form of repentance for what he did to his brother? All right. Or is he trying to do the same thing that he did to his brother, in which the elder is now going to be the greater? I'm sorry, the elder is going to be the lesser, which Esau is going to be lesser. And the greater is now going to be held by the position of the youngest son, which Jacob, YAIQAB, was the youngest son, but he became the greater of the two. He got the blessing and inherited everything that was given spiritually to Abraham and to Isaac. So we're going to explore that tomorrow. This was a very short, and I'm trying to, as we're talking about our father YAIQAB and his death, okay, I'm trying to stay in the text I'm trying deliberately not to go into Ecclesiasticus or into the other scriptures to show different points of wisdom or different references that lead us to HaMashiach. Why? Because I want us to focus on the death of our father, because it's a very significant and sad time in the lives of all of our fathers. This is a very sad and significant event that we lead up to the death of our father. So it's almost like a spiritual mourning, you know, that I feel when we read this particular part of the story, you know, because this is a real man that is our ancestor, and we're reading about the days before his death. All right. And then when we finish this chapter, when we get into the next parasha, on the parasha for the fourth, all right, the parasha for the fourth and the fifth day, then that's where we're going to go into these tribes and the blessings that our father put upon all of the tribes of Yasharallah. So that's going to be a very eye-opening event, all right? And a lot of people may, you know, you teach different things about the tribes, and you teach different things about the moon, and you teach different things about the about when the day starts, and you jump all over the Bible. That's, you know, that's fine sometimes, but you have to read these doctrines from the law in the context of the law to see what is the heavenly ruling, what is the divine ruling on this particular thing that I'm saying I'm going to teach. Do I have to go to Ezekiel in order to really understand it, you know, in general? Okay. If you can't see it in the Torah, then it's not something that we're going to be judged by. So it's not a doctrine that you really need to be going into debating about. The Torah is the foundation. We believe HaMashiach is the Messiah, is the Savior, but we're not going to be judged by Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, or even the book of Revelation. We're going to be judged by the first 5 books of the Bible. So whatever doctrine you're teaching needs to be based on those books of the Torah, of the Tanakh, or of the Maquara'ah. And once we see that, now we can move forward. And I've had conversation with some of the younger brothers. Yesterday and I think this morning, past couple of days, and I've noticed that a lot of you others, you have your technique of debating people and your technique of disagreeing with people is very disorderly, and it's very indecent. Because when we're having a discussion about a particular topic, you know, if we're talking about if we're talking about a man and a woman, for example, all right, and Maharaka did a very excellent class tonight about polygyny, about marriage, all right, and explaining 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Very excellent job, very good job at doing that. And you know, Maharaka is an elder in Israel, in Yasharallah. He's put in his work, you know, in the field, you know. But the point that I'm getting at is that if we're going to have a discussion, let's say, just for example, about male-female relationships, well, we should start in Genesis. Because Genesis is the beginning. So when we go into Genesis, we might say, well, who bit the fruit and whose fault is it? Okay, we might get over that. Okay. So now we move forward. Okay, what about the dynamics of the relationship? Who's in charge? Who's in charge in the relationship? And what is each one supposed to be doing in a relationship? Well, we all were given a prime directive, you know, to have dominion which means to care for and direct and guide righteously over the earth. So that's what the man has to do. But then when we go into the book of Genesis, and you go into Genesis chapter 2, and I'm just giving this as an example. Okay, once we go into the book of, let's say we go into Genesis and we go into chapter, let me go into chapter 2. I'm sorry, let's go into chapter 3. Okay, so when we go into chapter 3, okay, and we look into verse 16 from the beginning. So now the Most High says, he says, and the woman to the woman he said, I will greatly greaten, okay, greatly greaten, because verily, all right, not verily, but very much so. Multiply your sorrow, your sadness, in conception, you know, getting pregnant, having a baby, that whole process, in pain, okay, in pain, hurting, and sadness. Are you going to bring forth children? Are you going to bring forth children? All right. The Labia. All right, the Labia. Bring forth children. And then the next part of the verse tells us something very key. It says, Wa'al ayashka, which means unto your man, and to your man, ayashka. It says, Tha shawakwat ka, which means that you're going to desire. So towards your man will be your desire. So whatever you want and desire is going to be unto or toward your man, meaning that you're going to have a spiritual desire for him, toward him, and then your desire will be kind of under what he wants, under his understanding of what it is that we're going to do in this relationship. Okay, your desire to your husband, unto your husband, your desire will be. All right. So it says Tha shawakwathka. All right, so shall be. All right, so you shall not murder. So when we see la'ataratazak, all right, you shall not murder. So now going forward, you have this consciousness. Now you shall not murder. La'atana'ap. Now you shall not commit adultery from this point into the future. Whatever you did back then, all right, you can't move forward and do these things. La'ataganab. You shall not. You can't. You can't take anything or steal anything from the people. All right. So once again, it says Tha shawakwathka. So you shall desire, or shall desire, your desire be. All right. Then it says at the end, he says wa hawa'a, and he referring back to the ish, or the ayashka, the man, and he Ya mashal baka. So he will rule. He's going to be the ruler, the dominion. He will rule over you. Baka, you could say it means in. You could say it means in, and I'm not going to dispute that. All right. So he will rule. So inside of you, in your world, all right, he's the ruler, okay? Anything pertaining to you, he's the ruler, all right? So now the reason I'm using this scripture as an example is that when we're talking about marriage, we can't just jump into Matthew. We can't just jump into Luke. We can't just jump into Corinthians and Ephesians and Peter and disregard the foundation that we see when in the beginning. So when a lot of you brothers want to debate and talk and have conversation and discussion, how adept are you in the Torah? How is your halakha? How is your walk with the Torah? Because if you don't understand and walk the Torah, you will not get the understanding of the Torah, which means that when you're teaching, you're not teaching based on what the Torah teaches. All right. See, a lot of you come into this understanding, you kind of play it like church. I'm gonna go to work and I'm gonna do this, and then on Sabbath, or whether you want to, I'm gonna chill out and I'm gonna just study the Bible. But rest of the day I'm just kind of in the world still. I'm gonna do stuff. What I do. I'm not gonna dress any type of Hebrew way. I'm not gonna dress any type of Hebrew way. I'm gonna just dress regular. But I know the truth. I'm awake now. And you don't have a Hebrew lifestyle. You don't have a Hebrew walk of obedience, to the laws and the commandments of Yahweh. Your walk is not there. So if your walk isn't there, then of course your talking is going to be off. All right, because you have to walk it when you understand it. And if you don't understand it, you shouldn't be teaching it to people. So a lot of brothers are doing a whole lot of teaching, but they don't understand the Bible. And you're allowing a white man or a black man that doesn't understand or walk in the laws, the Torah, the Tawarat, or the Tawarah of the Bible. You're allowing him to influence your understanding, and he's sending you to different verses, and these verses make sense in your head, but neither you nor him may be fully submitted to operate within those first 5 books. So your understanding is going to be flawed. Your understanding is going to be false, you see. And that's why I love literally to read and to discover and to prove points and to prove what I'm doing to myself is the right way from the Torah. And then I can move into all these other beautiful books of the scriptures. We see principles in the Torah, wisdom in the Torah, as well as specific do's and don'ts. So in the Torah, we see balance between negative and positive. We see balance between light and dark. And then we go into the books of wisdom and we see these same principles being expressed through the spirit of wisdom, chakma, for us to meet the two together and know, okay, I'm right to think this about this verse because wisdom now says it. So sometimes you go to Ezekiel, and Ezekiel may seem to say something opposite to the Torah. And you go into wisdom, wisdom can go either way a lot of times. Can line up to Ezekiel, can line up to, the Torah. But proper wisdom is going to line up with all three. Wisdom, Ezekiel, and whatever the Torah says. You see, and that's the level that our people have to get to be able to line up the Torah and wisdom. Why? Because when we read in the scripture, we see that Hamashiach was made to us as wisdom. We see that we have to teach every man in wisdom. We're told to walk in wisdom toward them that are without. In the book of Baruch, it says that only to us was revealed wisdom. So how can we all be walking in wisdom, which is the spirit that goes through everything by reason of her purity, and we're saying 5 different things? It's impossible. So something is wrong. Somewhere something is off. So what I say is sit down and read the 613, sit down and read all 613 commandments. Can somebody bring that poster to me? The commandments. Sit down and read the 613 commandments that have been, all the things the Most High says to do aren't listed on the 613, but it gives you a foundation. So it gives you a reference point. All right, it gives you a foundation, and it gives you an excellent reference point of what to do and how to do it. Now, once you read it and you see the basic understanding, of the Torah, what happens then? Now you go back, you say, okay, what are the principles taught here? Okay, what is the spirit? That's when you get into the spirit of the law. See, the letter is nothing. The spirit of the law is what activates obedience. It's what activates understanding. It's what activates compliance when you walk in the spirit of the law, not just in the letter. Okay. So if you look here, which I hope you can look pretty good. If you look here, which if you're interested in one of these, you can just, let me know and I'll see if I can help you out. So what we have here is a chart. You see that? It's a chart. Okay. And as you can see on this chart, what we have are what? We have the commandments, laws of lepers and leprosy, rulers and kings. So we have, and what's the number right here? All right. Over here, what's that last number right there? All right, we have the number 613. So this is the 613 commandments with expansion when necessary of certain commandments. Okay. So on this right here, I'm sorry if you got a glare. Okay. On this right here, okay, you got the 613 laws. 613 laws. And many of you know me, I don't get on here and try to sell stuff or whatever, but if you're interested in this, inbox me and I can get you one made up and I'm gonna charge you for it. All right. I'm gonna charge you for it. But it's just as wide as this one, you see? Just as wide. Okay, and then when you look on it, all of the 613 laws are listed right here. 613 laws right there. All right. Then it has the affirmation that we make. Kala shara debari Yahweh na aisha wa na shemai. Okay. Wa na shemai basham Yahweh shai hamashiach. So these are the commandments that we're supposed to be walking in. And because I think a lot of brothers don't understand or walk in these commandments, they get on Facebook and they start to argue and debate. Okay, and they start to debate each other. Well, some brothers say to me, well, man, let's go live. And I'm like, well, you don't really keep the Torah, bro. So I can't go live with you because you ain't in the spirit. You're not walking in the spirit of obedience, man. So why would I go live or have a debate with somebody? First of all, why would I have a debate with you? Why would I have a debate? What are we trying to do? Embarrass each other or just share the truth? Are we going to, at the end, figure out who's right and then I'm going to repent for my lie? Or you're going to repent for your lie? I've never seen that happen with any of these debates yet. So what's the fruit of it? You see what I'm saying? So the point that I was making, and I'm sorry for getting distracted, but the point that I was making, right, was the fact that when we were looking at these commandments and doctrines, we got to base it on the law. We have to keep the law. We have to walk in obedience to the commandments. And that's why I was saying I love to read the Torah and to teach from the Torah so much. And that's why this week I'm really focusing on the Torah. I'm focusing on what does this book say specifically about our Father, because like I said, we're reading about the death of our father. We're reading about Jacob dying, and it's a very to me it's a very sad period. All right, it's a very sad period, very sad event. So we're reading about it now, and as we read about it, we have to understand that this is something that really happened. It's something that really happened. Our father died, and we're reading about the death, of our father, Jacob, YAIQAB'. We're reading about his death, right now. So if you are interested in getting one of these Torah posters, inbox me, and I'll shoot you a price, and you could Get one. Put it on your wall. Put it on your wall. So you can, you and your family can say, okay, let's look at the laws about inheritance today. I got to print it up, got to print it up. And like I said, just, you can see a little bit of them, kind of right here. You can see wars. Okay, you see that? Wars that those engaged in warfare should not fear their enemies. Okay, that's a law. All right, that's a law. So we just read that one law. Those engaged in warfare should not fear their enemies, nor be panic-stricken by them during battle. To anoint a special priest to speak to the soldiers in a war. In a permissive war, to observe the procedure prescribed in the Torah. So Deuteronomy 20, chapter 20, verse 10. All right. Don't destroy the fruit trees. All right. Don't destroy the fruit trees. To deal with a beautiful woman that you take captive in war in the manner prescribed in the Torah. So in the law, if I go to war, let's say I go to war, I'm going to war. My clan, my family will have a legitimate gripe against another family. All right. And they say they're going to do things to us. And we're in an environment where we can literally go to war with each other. So once we go to war and all those males are dead, if I see a beautiful woman among those women that were taken captive, according to our laws, that woman can become my woman. She can become my wife. All right. Now we're dealing with going to war with the Gentiles. This is not something of the children of Yasharallah. Even though Benjamin got pretty close to it when they went up to Shiloh and the sisters were having that celebration, and they basically kidnapped the women and made them their wives. But that's a different historical perspective that we can examine at some further point, But in these wars, there's a lot of things that you don't know what type of God we serve. How can we know what type of God we serve, Yahweh, what type of power he is, if we don't see what is the framework that he gave us for our society? The Most High said ultimately that we're going to destroy the Canaanites. Okay. He said we got to remember the Sabbath day, and we got to keep the Sabbath day holy. Okay. We got different court and judicial procedures. All right. Now, of course, I have the law, right? The book of the law of Yasharallah that I put together, myself, based on going page for page inside of the first 5 books and seeing what it says, examining the Masoretic text, okay, examining the Samaritan Pentateuch, and a lot of times examining the Septuagint and seeing where this understanding converged at. So anyway, this week we're focused on those parts of the Bible. And also, by the way, this Hebrew chart. If you like this Hebrew chart and you want a Hebrew chart like that, inbox me. I can get you one of those too. Matter of fact, anything that you want printed up. This is like vinyl, like the banners you see in people's yards in America saying congratulations for finishing 12 years of academic indoctrination into a system that's oppressive and non-conducive and destabilizing to our community. You made it through that training, and we're going to congratulate you with a graduation. Those type of banners that you see in people's yards because somebody finished high school, I can print those up for you too. So just inbox me, what you want. If you want something I already got made up, if you want something like the law, or if you want something I got made up, or if you want something custom, just let me know, inbox me, and I'll help you out. All right. So So yeah, Genesis chapter 3, verse 16 tells us about marriage and law on the woman. So and that's exactly what Maharaka did tonight when he taught his class, which I thought was, that was the spirit, man, because that was such a beautiful tie-in together. And as he's reading it, I'm listening to him. I'm listening to Maharaka talking, and as he's reading, he's like, get something else out of that. What else can you get from that besides what it says? What else can we get from that? You see? What else can you get from that besides submit to your man, your desire shall be to him, he shall rule over you. What else can you get from that, man? We don't see no shortcuts in understanding with that, you see? So that's going to be the Torah class, for today. And I thank Yahweh for our father Abraham, Isaac, for them leading up to our father Jacob, YAIQAB. And we're going to read about his death and the blessing that he put upon his sons. We're going to read about that tomorrow. Hopefully we'll do it a little earlier if possible, so we can get more time to share together. Okay. So thank you for, spending your time in the name of Yahweh Bashem Hamashiach Yahushua. Okay. So now, in closing, remember that the next new moon is going to be January 5th. The next new moon is going to be January 5th. Passover is going to be April 18th at night to April 18th at night until April 19th at night. First day of Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. The last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread / Passover is going to be April 24th until April 25th from night to night. All right. Now, as a elder and a judge, Zaquan Shapat with Banya Yasha'Allah, I got 7 things I want to say about that. The covenant of Yasha'Allah is the commandments, laws, and statutes of Yahweh, as well as being circumcised, as well as circumcising your heart in the name of Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. From Yahweh, we all got to walk in that. All children of Israel are called Banya Yasha'Allah inside the Bible. Yasha'Allah is any person, all right, who was scattered from Africa through the diaspora of slavery, as well as those people that arrived in the Americas as the indigenous peoples in the Americas. And the mission, of course, is to serve the Father Yahweh and the Son Yahweh Shai, and to serve our people, period, so that we can become one and gather together as a nation. Now, each man needs to provide his talents and skills and knowledge to serve the people of Yasha'Allah, all right? To serve the people of Yasha'Allah. Those are the 5 things we stand on as Banya Yasha'Allah. Now, we also have to understand the 7 steps of Yahweh Shai, which we talked about earlier, which goes from becoming as a child, going through a spiritual death and then being born again, becoming a branch that bears fruit, becoming a light, and then a master builder. And then we go into the 7 pillars of wisdom, which is knowledge, instruction, then understanding. All right. And then from understanding, we go into discretion. From discretion, we move into equity, then justice, last righteousness, judgment, and wisdom. So those are the 7. Those are going to be the the 7. All right. Those are going to be the 7. Okay. The covenant, our identity, our purpose, our mission. Okay. Service, the 7 steps of Yahweh Shai, and the 7 pillars of wisdom. The covenant of Yasha'Allah. What is Banya Yasha'Allah? What is this thing? What is that word? What's the meaning of that word? What's the definition of that word? All right. Who is Yasha'Allah? Who are these people of Yasha'Allah? What do we know them as today? What is the mission of all of Yasha'Allah together? What's our responsibility to the service of the nation and to the people of Yahweh and of the Messiah? What are the 7 things the Messiah told us that we need to be walking on the path to doing as we get more spiritually mature? And what are the 7 pillars of wisdom, which is the foundation of every righteous work that we see being completed in the Bible? So we must understand that. All right. So this is your brother Parashah. All right. Zaquan Shapat, elder judge with Banya Yasha'Allah, and Zaquan with Mashara Yasha'Allah, the elder with the government of Israel, Mashara Yasha'Allah. And I love Yahweh and I love this law. All right. So Shalom Lakam, Shemai Yasha'Allah, Yahweh Allahaynawa, Yahweh Akkad. Let me say it a little slower so some of you brothers and sisters can learn it and say it with me. All right. First, I'm going to say it in English. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh, our power or our God, Yahweh is one. Then I'm going to say it in Hebrew. And I want you to say it with me. And then you can rewind it again and say it with me. And that's going to be the last thing that I say. So you can just have a quick point to rewind it back to. All right. So Shalom Lakam. Now here's the Shema, which means hear, O Israel, hear Israel. Yahweh our God, Yahweh our power, Yahweh is one. Okay. Now I'm gonna say it then in the video. So say it with me. Make sure you say it with me. All right. All right. And all my friends at home, I want to hear you. All right. So Shemai, Yasha'Allah, Yahweh, Allah Yanawa, Yahweh Akkad.